Well, hello, everyone. I'm Susan Avery, and I'm the CEO of IAPD, the Performance Plastics Association. And for more than a decade, the Women in Plastics program has been an important part of the commitment to developing leaders and creating meaningful conversations across the performance plastics industry. Over the years, we've seen incredible growth through networking, education, and professional development opportunities designed specifically for women in technical and industrial environments. But as the industry continues to evolve, we recognized an important opportunity to build on this strong foundation and introduce a more structured leadership development experience. That's what led us to the 2026 Women in Plastics Leadership Program. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Rebecca Shambaugh, founder of SHAMBAUGH Leadership, who is partnering with IAPD to deliver this next phase of leadership development. Becky, thank you so much for being here and bringing your expertise to our community.
Oh, Susan, it's great to be here with you. And I just want to say, first off, thank you for your leadership. Thanks for IAPD for creating the space for these women to come and participate in taking some time for themselves to really pull over and focus on their leadership. So thank you for that. My life's work has really been around leadership, with a real focus on women in leadership. Several years ago, my company did some research and pipeline for men and women, and we found that in this discovery that while talented women were, excited to be at work and managing, their careers, they were being surpassed by their male colleagues. We decided to take a deeper dive into that and created this whole notion of the sticky floors, which I then published a book on. But it's the concept around the sticky floors. It's much of our life's destiny lies underneath our own feet. And I've been on every sticky floor that you can think of for decades. But human nature says that we get caught up in narratives or belief systems that could work for us, but don't work for us anymore. And so we took a deep dive into that and found that talented, experienced, bright women from all the way from early career, mid to executive level in some cases, that some narrative or assumption didn't work for them anymore. So it was about reframing. And so my company has really created a leadership program for women in consulting and coaching that built off of this key concept.
So let's talk a little bit about who this program really is for. We've got in our industry distributors, manufacturers, fabricators, manufacturers reps, all of those apply. So it's really about the women leaders themselves that fit certain profiles. And so let's talk about those women. What is your feedback on that? Is that the right kind of profile that we should be thinking about, or any thoughts on that?
I think anybody who has a number one, a desire to want to learn and to grow, right? And has that growth mindset. That's what this program is about. It's about stretching. It's about expanding your own thought process about yourself, right? Your own vision for yourself. But I think somebody, whether they're matrixed in and they have, team responsibility in a a matrix organization, doesn't mean they have to have a lot of people, but some kind of management leadership experience, managing people, right? Which can take a lot of our time, to aspirational goals, to evolve into something broader in your current role, or maybe it is a new role within the organization, beyond what you're doing now.
I think one of the biggest things that the shift this year from where the Women in Plastics program has been and to what we can look forward to this year is the structure of the program itself. In the past, the Women in Plastics program offered valuable education and networking, but we kind of took components of leadership. So the structure is we take them through virtual training from April through July, which then ends up in a final capstone event in August. Can you talk a little bit about what that process looks like?
The first virtual session will start in April, but the four virtual sessions that will kind of build upon each other. So, in other words, if you miss the first one, then the second one's not going to be as relevant. So, we really start at a personal mastery leadership level and then move on to relationships, teams in terms of my leadership? How do I navigate the organization and have greater impact? So it's really an ecological approach to learning. Lots of interaction, lots of opportunity to cross network in these virtual sessions, lots of engagement tools, opportunities to meet everybody in that room through different breakouts and problem solving and really having that cross mind share. Then we get to August from the 4 virtual sessions, which leads us up to August, which is the in-person, which is always nice. We'll be able to celebrate what we've learned so far and then kick off into some other opportunistic areas to really focus on for their own personal leadership with a wrap up and off they go. So
You spent decades working with leaders in technical and industrial environments. And, my question to you is, what is it that makes leadership development different for women? Can you dive a little bit into that?
I always use this term, our thinking makes it so. And sometimes we think the external world controls our destiny. We don't have choices, or we have a manager that doesn't see our potential, or we don't want to take that risk because what if we do fail, right? Or what if we do take that risk and then they ask us to do more? I think there's so much there. I have to be perfect 100%, or I'll go out and build relationships when I have the time after I do my work. So there's a lot of things going on in our head at an unconscious level. And I think if we can put the pause button on and go into a program that is a safe environment, such as the one that we're creating for IAPD, and to really bring these narratives and our thoughts and our views and assumptions about ourselves to a visible sort of conscious level, and to ask ourselves simply, is this working for us anymore? And that was the hard question I had to ask myself early on in my career, and so many other women. And so I think it's important for today, particularly with so many shifts going on, I would say seismic shifts from hybrid work environments to restructuring, reorgs, to acceleration of digital transformation and AI. All of those things is spinning, and we don't take time to pause and really reflect, as all leaders should do on a regular basis. So this is really giving us that penalty-free zone to really pause and to think about our leadership, ourselves, and where we are now, where we want to be, and live that life and that aspirational goal authentically.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk directly to the company leaders for a moment. What would you say to the company leaders about what the ROI is investing in women leadership development?
Right. Well, I would say number one, if you have an organizational growth strategy that is one that you want to sustain, that you want to continue that growth, you want to build greater sense of agency and engagement for people to make decisions, to be creative and innovative, right? I think consider this as a way to really elevate that and boost that. Women now are close to 50% of the US workforce, but still the most undertapped part of the talent pool. And that's not just a loss for women, it's a loss for organizations. The program that we have has results-oriented sort of outcomes that translate into a stronger leadership bench. Once women go through this program, they're more willing, they step into these roles, they are able to articulate their goals, they have broader confidence and competence in specific areas that will help navigate their trajectory to that next level. I think improvement in retention and engagement right now is so important. Engagement levels are down quite a bit. We're seeing, not necessarily maybe in your company, but silent resignations with particularly women. Doesn't mean that men aren't, but we want to avoid those regrettable losses. So this program is also a key solution to enhance your retention rates and to avoid those regrettable losses. If you're looking for a more increased diversity in the pipeline of a broader mix of people that bring that broader thought leadership and ideation and decision making, the potential role models, if women can grow in this program, I think the other deficit is we need more women role models to step up. And I think giving them this torch to help them to see their role, to pull other women up and give them the confidence and the courage to step into these broader roles. Because if women do believe and see other women at the top, like a Susan, then they believe it's possible. So I think intention, retention, engagement, diversifying your pipeline, preparing for succession, and not waiting till yesterday, but really thinking about it more strategically. You have 3 or 4 individuals and 2 of them are women that are in your succession pool. Consider this as a targeted approach to really prepare them for those next steps.